Koko B, Ware, a legend in the wrestling world, faced his share of struggles, including racial discrimination that often held him back from opportunities he deserved. Despite the challenges, he stood out with his vibrant personality, flashy outfits, and signature dance moves. And who could forget his trusty sidekick, Frankie the macaw? Together, they brought energy and excitement to the ring, captivating fans everywhere. Before we dive in any further, please subscribe to the channel. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button. When Ware was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2009, it sparked a lot of debate among wrestling fans and insiders. Many people felt that the timing of his induction wasn't quite right and that it didn't fully match up with his career achievements. They pointed out that several legendary wrestlers who had accomplished a lot more in their careers, like Ivan Koloff, Randy Savage, and Bruno Sammartino, were still waiting to be recognized at that time. This raised questions about how fair the selection process really was. Some fans even accused WWE of playing favorites, suggesting that the decisions might not always be based on accomplishments or contributions to the sport. Instead, they speculated that other factors, like personality or connections within the industry, might have influenced the choices. While some defended Ware's induction by highlighting his charisma and the joy he brought to fans, others couldn't help but feel that his inclusion came too soon or at the expense of more deserving candidates. This made his Hall of Fame honor a controversial topic in the wrestling world for quite some time. In 1989, during a European tour with the WWF, Ware found himself in a heated and highly controversial incident involving one of the company's executives, Jim Troy. The trouble reportedly started with a verbal argument between the two, which quickly escalated into something much more serious. According to accounts, the argument began when Troy allegedly directed racial slurs toward Ware. This understandably infuriated Ware, and the situation spiraled out of control, eventually leading to a physical altercation between the two men. Things got so out of hand that the fight caused significant damage, including a broken glass window in the hotel lobby where the confrontation took place. This wasn't just a minor scuffle, it turned into a very public and chaotic scene that couldn't be ignored by WWF management. As a result, both Ware and Troy were let go from the company. However, it's worth noting that Ware's suspension didn't last long. After about 6 weeks, he was allowed to return to the WWF, which many saw as a sign that the company may have understood the larger context of what had happened. This incident became one of the more notable controversies in Ware's career and remains a significant talking point when discussing the challenges he faced both in and out of the ring. Over the years, some wrestlers have criticized Ware for being what's known in the wrestling world as stiff in the ring. This term is used to describe a wrestler who performs moves with too much force or intensity, sometimes to the point of causing discomfort or even injury to their opponents. While professional wrestling is a cooperative effort where both wrestlers work together to put on a convincing show, being stiff can create tension and frustration between performers. One particular incident has been highlighted as an example of this criticism. During a match, Ware was accused of delivering moves with unnecessary force. According to those involved, he didn't just perform his moves aggressively, he also slapped his opponent hard while going for the pin. This moment stood out because pinning an opponent is usually a more controlled and routine part of the match, and such an action was seen as excessive and possibly disrespectful. These kinds of accusations can be serious in the wrestling community, as they suggest a lack of care or professionalism in the ring. While some have defended Ware, saying his style was simply passionate and energetic, others have pointed to incidents like this as examples of him occasionally crossing the line. Regardless of which perspective you take, it's clear that this criticism has added another layer of complexity to Ware's legacy in the wrestling world. Ware's career wasn't just colourful and energetic in the ring, it also had its fair share of drama behind the scenes. Beyond his well-documented altercation with WWF executive Jim Troy, rumours have circulated for years about Koko being involved in backstage fights with several other wrestlers. These incidents, whether sparked by personal differences or professional frustrations, have become part of the stories surrounding his time in wrestling. One of the wrestlers Ware was rumored to have clashed with was Steve Keirn, a well-known name in the wrestling world. Details about their supposed fight are scarce, but it's believed that tensions between the two boiled over in a backstage setting. Similarly, Ware reportedly had issues with Paul Roma, another wrestler from the same era, leading to another confrontation. These backstage arguments and scuffles weren't unusual in the wrestling business, where egos, personalities, and the pressures of performing could sometimes create explosive situations. Perhaps the most talked about of these rumors involves a shoot fight with Boris Zhukov. In wrestling terms, a shoot fight refers to a real unscripted altercation as opposed to the choreographed action that fans see in the ring. If true, this fight would have been a significant and intense moment, as shoot fights are rare and often signal a complete breakdown of trust or respect between the wrestlers involved. Ware's Birdman persona was a big hit with fans during his time in the WWF. His colourful outfits, energetic entrances, and his pet parrot Frankie made him a memorable and unique character. His signature jive dancing as he made his way to the ring brought a fun and lively vibe to wrestling events, and many people loved the joy he brought to the show. However, not everyone saw the character in the same positive light. Some fans and critics have argued that the Birdman gimmick leaned too heavily into racial stereotypes, particularly with the dancing and the way Ware's character was portrayed. They felt that it boxed him into a specific role as more of a comedic figure rather than a serious wrestler. While Ware was incredibly talented and had the athletic skills to compete with the best, his persona often overshadowed his abilities in the ring. Because of this, Ware rarely had the chance to be seen as a true contender for major championships. Instead, he was frequently used as a mid-card wrestler or someone who would help showcase newer or bigger stars. This limited how far he could go in his career, despite his obvious charisma and skill. It's a topic that has sparked a lot of discussion over the years. Some believe that the Birdman persona was a fun and entertaining character that fit perfectly in the larger-than-life world of 1980s wrestling. Others feel it was a missed opportunity to show Ware's full potential as a serious competitor. Many people have speculated that Ware's race may have played a role in why he never got the major pushes or title opportunities that his talent and popularity seemed to deserve during his time in WWE. While Ware had all the qualities of a star, charisma, athleticism, and the ability to connect with fans, he was often kept in the mid-card, rarely given a chance to compete for major championships or take on a leading role in storylines. For some, this pattern wasn't just about how wrestling worked at the time. They see it as part of a larger issue of systemic racism within the industry. Wrestling in the 1980s and early 1990s was dominated by larger-than-life characters, but the industry wasn't always inclusive in how it portrayed or pushed wrestlers of color. Many black wrestlers, no matter how talented or popular, found themselves limited to certain roles or stuck in the mid-card, while their white counterparts often had more opportunities to climb to the top. Ware's case is a prime example. Despite being a fan favorite, with his vibrant personality and entertaining Birdman persona, he was rarely given storylines that allowed him to be seen as a serious contender. He was often used to excite the crowd with his entrances or to help make other wrestlers look good, but he didn't get the sustained spotlight that could have elevated him to the main event scene. This lack of upward mobility left many fans and insiders feeling frustrated, especially when they compared his situation to that of other talented wrestlers. It's hard to ignore the possibility that racial bias played a role in holding Ware back, whether it was intentional or simply part of the unspoken norms of the time. Today, looking back, this aspect of Ware's career is often discussed as a reflection of the broader challenges that wrestlers of color faced in an industry that wasn't always fair or inclusive. While Ware made a lasting impact and is remembered fondly by fans, his story also serves as a reminder of how much work the wrestling world still had to do to provide equal opportunities for all performers. Throughout his career, Ware faced challenges not only in the ring but also in how he was treated and portrayed by some commentators. Unfortunately, There were instances where racially insensitive remarks were made about him during broadcasts, which added another layer of difficulty to his journey. One notable example involved Jesse Ventura, a well-known commentator and former wrestler. Ventura, who was known for his edgy and often controversial style of commentary, repeatedly referred to Ware as buckwheat, a nickname that many found offensive. The term, linked to a stereotypical character from the Our Gang comedy series, carried derogatory undertones, particularly when used in this context. While Ventura likely intended the comment as part of his heel commentator persona, it still struck a nerve with viewers who recognized it as inappropriate and racially charged. Such remarks were not only hurtful, but also reflected the broader issues of how wrestlers of color were treated during that era. They perpetuated stereotypes and reduced Ware's vibrant, multi-dimensional character to a punchline, undermining his talent and contributions to the industry. Fans who admired Ware for his charisma, athleticism, and unique persona often found these comments frustrating and disrespectful. This kind of behavior in commentary was indicative of the times, where racially insensitive jokes or nicknames were often overlooked or even accepted as part of the show. However, in hindsight, it's clear that these moments were harmful and contributed to the systemic challenges that wrestlers like Ware had to overcome. Ware got his start in wrestling by working in the Mid-South, Georgia, and other NWA territories. Back then, he went by the name Koko Ware and was still trying to find his footing in the industry. Like many young wrestlers, he spent those early years learning the ropes and gaining experience. He worked in Jerry Jarrett's Continental Wrestling Association and Nick Gula's territory. But success didn't come easily. These were his paying dues days, where he worked hard to make a name for himself. Things finally started to turn around for Ware in late 1980. He entered a battle royal to determine the very first Mid-American television champion. The crowd favorite in that match was Jimmy Valiant, a big name in wrestling at the time. During the chaotic battle, Ware accidentally knocked Valiant into another wrestler, Danny Davis, which led to Valiant being eliminated. Shortly after, Ware threw Davis over the ropes, winning the match and claiming his first-ever championship title. However, Ware didn't have much time to celebrate. Right after the match, Valiant stormed back into the ring and attacked him, setting off a heated feud. This rivalry quickly grew, with Valiant teaming up with the villainous Tojo Yamamoto, while Ware found an ally in the popular Tommy Rich. Their back-and-forth battles became a big draw for the promotion. Ware's first title reign didn't last long, though. In early 1981, Dutch Mantel returned to the CWA and defeated Ware for the TV championship. While Ware's run with the title was short-lived, it was still a key moment in his early career, marking the beginning of his rise as a wrestler to watch. These early days helped shape Ware into the energetic and determined performer fans would come to love later on. Ware's career was slow to take off until September 1981, when he found himself at the center of a big storyline in Memphis wrestling. He was picked to referee a Southern Heavyweight Championship match between Jerry Lawler and the Dream Machine. During the match, Koko shocked everyone by unfairly counting Lawler out, handing the victory to the Dream Machine. The fans in Memphis were furious, and Lawler wasn't happy either. This controversial move quickly turned Ware into a heel and aligned him with Jimmy Hart's notorious stable, the First Family. It was around this time that he changed his name to Sweet Brown Sugar. As Sweet Brown Sugar, Ware didn't manage to get the better of Lawler, but he did start finding success in tag team wrestling. He teamed up first with Steve Keirn and later with Bobby Eaton. Together, Eaton and Sugar won the AWA Southern Tag Team Championship, marking a big step forward in Ware's career. However, the partnership with Eaton didn't last. As the two continued teaming, cracks began to show in their relationship. Things boiled over when Eaton won the Mid-America Heavyweight title by defeating Jacques Rougeau. During an interview celebrating the win, Sugar complained about his own inability to beat Terry Taylor for the Southern Heavyweight title. Jimmy Hart, clearly frustrated, slapped Sugar and sent him packing mid-interview. Eaton added insult to injury by saying Sugar was whining like a woman. The tension came to a head that same night when they defended their tag titles against Taylor and Bill Dundee. During the match, Sugar accidentally kicked Eaton, costing them the titles. Afterwards, Sugar walked out, leaving Eaton on his own. This betrayal led to a heated feud between Eaton and Sugar, with the Mid-America title at the center of their battles. The rivalry escalated to the point where a loser leaves town match was booked to settle things once and for all. Eaton won, forcing Sugar to leave. Not long after, a masked wrestler named Stagger Lee appeared on the scene. His style and mannerisms were remarkably similar to Sugar's, which quickly made him a fan favorite. Eaton and the rest of the First family tried everything they could to unmask Stagger Lee, but they never succeeded. Interestingly, Bobby Eaton eventually turned face and even teamed up with Stagger Lee for a series of matches. This storyline was a big hit with fans and showcased Ware's ability to connect with the audience, whether he was playing a villain or a hero. In 1983, during a tag team tournament, Ware took on a new persona when he teamed up with the masked wrestler Stagger Lee and face wrestler Norval Austin. The match saw Stagger Lee's mask get pulled off, revealing that the man underneath was none other than Ware himself. This surprising reveal marked a major shift for Ware as he turned heel and formed a new tag team with Austin. They called themselves the Pretty Young Things, or the PYT Express. The team quickly embraced a pretty boy image, wearing matching red leather jackets and sporting a single white glove, a clear nod to Michael Jackson's popular look at the time. The Pretty Young Things soon found success in the ring, capturing the AWA Southern Tag Team Championship in February 1984 by defeating Elijah Akeem and Kareem Muhammad. Unfortunately, their reign was short-lived, as Akeem and Muhammad reclaimed the title just 2 weeks later. In August 1984, the Pretty Young Things made their way to World Class Championship Wrestling in Texas, where they stayed until November of that year. Their next stop was Championship Wrestling from Florida, where they started 1985 strong by winning the NWA Florida United States Tag Team Championship on February 26, 1985, defeating Jay and Mark Youngblood. However, just 2 weeks later, the Youngbloods reclaimed the title from them, and the Pretty Young Things left the promotion in March 1985. After their time in Florida, the Pretty Young Things returned to the Continental Wrestling Association in April 1985. They won the AWA Southern Tag Team title twice, both times defeating the top face team, the Fabulous Ones, in a heated rivalry. However, by July 1985, the team split when Austin left for Continental Championship Wrestling. Ware's solo career took off after the split. In August 1985, he won a tournament for the vacant NWA Mid-America Heavyweight Championship. He held the title until October, when he lost to the legendary Harley Race, only to regain the title the following month. His final reign ended in January 1986, when he lost the title to Buddy Landell. Shortly after, Ware left the Continental Wrestling Association and joined the Universal Wrestling Federation. In February 1986, Ware made his way to Bill Watts's Mid-South UWF territory, where he started going by the name Ware. His new persona was that of a fan favorite, entering the ring to the upbeat theme The Bird by Morris Day. He would do an arm-flapping dance as part of his entrance, adding a fun, energetic touch to his character. Ware's time in the UWF was short, though, as he left the promotion in August 1986 to sign with the World Wrestling Federation, where his career would take yet another turn. In August 1986, Ware joined the WWF, keeping his fun-loving Birdman persona, complete with his macaw, Frankie. He made his debut on Superstars in September, teaming with Paul Roma against the Hart Foundation, though they lost. His first win came the next day on Wrestling Challenge. Koko's entrance, Dancing to the Bird by Morris Day and The Time, and his colourful outfits made him a fan favourite, especially with kids. He even sang the title track for the 1987 WWF album Pile Driver, which became part of his entrance music. Ware's first big win came in October 1986 when he beat Harley Race at a house show. He had some big TV moments, including a match with Randy Savage for the Intercontinental title, but mostly lost to bigger stars like Butch Reed and Greg Valentine. Ware also helped elevate newcomers like Mr. Perfect and The Undertaker, who both beat him in their WWF debuts. In 1989, Ware teamed with Owen Hart to form High Energy, a fun, high-flying tag team. They didn't win much, but they entertained fans with their bright outfits and energy. In 1992, Ware teamed with Owen again in high energy until Owen got injured in 1993 and Koko returned to singles competition. He had some more runs with the WWF until 1994, but after that, he spent time in the USWA, where he found more success, winning the USWA World title twice and the Tag Team title in 1993. He continued wrestling there until 1997, when the company shut down. After his time in the USWA, Ware made a few appearances for the American Wrestling Federation between 1994 and 1996, but he didn't become a regular before semi-retiring in 1997. He was briefly featured in the 1999 documentary Beyond the Mat. Ware then worked on the independent circuit, including a run with Power Pro Wrestling in Memphis from 1998 to 1999. In 1999, he retired and took a break from wrestling. He made a short return to the WWF on January 25, 1999, during the Owen Hart storyline, briefly wearing the blue blazer mask. But after Owen's tragic death, the angle was dropped, and Ware's involvement ended. In 2001, Ware returned to the ring and defeated Brickhouse Brown in Galaxy Championship Wrestling. In 2002, Ware suffered a tragic loss when his macaw, Frankie, died in a house fire. By 2003, he was wrestling full-time again, winning the SCW Supreme title and competing in Memphis Wrestling until 2007. He appeared at the World Wrestling Legends PPV in 2006 and returned to WWE programming on Raw in 2005, where he faced Rob Conway on WWE Heat. In 2009, Ware was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by the Honky Tonk Man. He also appeared on Tosh.0 in 2011 for a web redemption segment. Ware continued to make appearances, including a match in 2014 to raise money for ALS. His final match was on August 10, 2019, in Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling, where he teamed up with John Wes and Matt Turner to defeat James Ellsworth and others. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to visit our channel for more exciting content like this.